Hi guys, the content in the following video is a bit strong, it's a bit long. I've decided to break it up into two parts because I want you guys to really listen to the words. There's no hidden message. The message is about peace and love, but I also want you to kind of take a time to first pray before you hear it. And just listen to the message that's within the video. I ask you to share the message if you think that people can benefit from it. If you don't, you don't. So with that being said, here's the first part of the video. Again, there's two parts to it. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. Welcome everyone. I know what you guys are thinking. Why is this guy here? It's not even Monday, but I'm here because I have a special message that I wanted to talk to you guys about. And if you find a message helpful, please go ahead and share it along so people can hear. And I'm here to talk to you about the nation in our country and what's happening back home. Since the last time I posted a video, a lot has changed. Just not my hairstyle, but like a lot of status within the country has changed, and I'm here to talk to you about that. Today's lesson is titled, Blessed is the one who finds wisdom. Blessed is the one who finds wisdom. The book of Proverbs chapter 3 verse 13. And truly, we have to be wise in how to tackle the issue that's going on right now. Last time, after I posted the video about the current status of our country, I've gotten a lot of comments. Most good, some not so good. And you know, I'm very grateful for people giving me their feedback about what they thought about the video and some of the comments that I had. And I'm very much grateful for that. And honestly, even the negative ones, I like to read all of them. I may not respond, but I like to read it. But there was certain comments that kept reappearing that I felt like it is my duty to respond to. I usually don't respond to comments, but these particular comments were repetitive and they kept going. So I find the need to respond to it today. The comments had dealt with them asking me, where were you when the Christians, the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Christians, were being killed and slaughtered, and there was genocide taking place against the Ethiopian Orthodox community? Where were you? Why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you speak up back then? Why speak up now? And people started to question my allegiance to the church, and that I have to comment on. You know, people can say anything they want about me personally. People can say that I'm a sinner. I am. People can say I'm a bad person. I think I am. People can say that I'm a liar. I've lied before. I can't deny that. So I know I'm not like the best person in the world. My friends think I'm a jerk. But when you begin to question my services that I give to the church, I have to respond. That's something that I can't tolerate. See, I've given my life to this church. It's not something that I talk about. It's not something that I post on social media about. It's something that I have given my entire life to this church. I have bled for this church. Not metaphorically speaking, but literally. When I was in the monastery, the bed bugs would be all over my legs would be so swollen. And most of it up to the point where it bleed. This is the type of sacrifice. I don't want to talk about the things that I've done. Even now, at this point in my life, God knows the sacrifice I give. I don't want to be questioned about my allegiance to the church. I want to make it very clear for people who've asked over it, who are you? What's your plan? What's your game plan? What do you want to do to the church? These type of questions, I personally will not tolerate. Say anything that you want about me. It's probably true. I know I'm not a nice guy. But when it comes to my service, don't question my allegiance. That's something that I won't tolerate. But today, I'm not here to talk about myself. I'm here to talk about what's happening. Again, to answer the question why I decided to speak now instead of earlier, it's because it's now that the youth that I minister to, that I serve, have started to fight with each other. And that is my responsibility. As a good friend of mine, a good brother of mine suggested, close your door and pray if you want peace. And thank you for the suggestion. And I have been praying. But when the people that I serve and the people that I'm responsible for start fighting with each other, that's when I open the door and I start ministering as I am called to do. I don't want people to question my allegiance to the church. That's something that I won't have. But again, since the last time I posted the video, there were many things that happened. One of which is the soldiers of Abiy entered into the city of Mekelle, and the city was under control of Abiy's regime or government. It seemed like this TPLF was gonna go down. After they had committed so much things, they were down and people took to the streets and on social media, and they started celebrating. Like horrible era is gone, and people started doing skasta and chebalo and this. At the same time, as people were celebrating, there are our Tigrayan brothers and sisters who are crying. This community was telling us that they were unable to speak to their family members. They were unable to reach people. They didn't know if their family members had died or not. And yet, people were celebrating in their face. We were witnessing refugees not being able to eat and drink, not having enough access to water and food. And people were celebrating. Of course, they're not celebrating the fact that the refugees are hungry, but they were just celebrating. Look, I want to be very clear here. I'm not here to talk to you about whether you think the war is legitimate or not. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the act of celebration in front of people who are mourning. That's what I'm here to talk about. The act of celebration in front of our brothers and sisters who are saying, I don't know if my family members are alive. What happened to humanity? What happened to wisdom? Look, I don't want to tell you what I think. Let's look at the Bible and read what it says. In the book of 2 Samuel chapter 1, we find the story of a soldier who comes to tell David that Saul, that the man who had tried to kill him for so long, had died in battle. Not just died, but the soldier is going to claim that he was the one who killed Saul. So he goes up to David. He's like, look, I have great news. You know that guy that was trying to kill you? You know him? He's like, I killed him and now he's dead. Well, what does David do? That's the guy who tried to kill him for so long. You know what he does? He doesn't celebrate. He tears his clothes. And then it says, وَبَكَيُوا وَزْعُمُوا وَبَكَيُوا إِسْكَفِ النَّاسَرْكِ لايلة ساول لايلة يوناتان ولايلة حزب يهودا ولايلة بيت إسرائيل اسم موتوا بكوينات. They mourned and wept and fasted all day for Saul, the guy who tried to kill David, and his son Jonathan, and for the Lord's army in the nation of Israel, because they had died by the sword that day. It was a time of mourning, not rejoicing. How do you rejoice when people are dying? This is why we say war is evil. Look, I get the argument. No, we're not celebrating people dying. We're celebrating the fact that the evil era has begun. I know the statement. I know what's being said. But you just don't. The action is wrong. You don't celebrate at that time. It's a time of mourning. It was a hard time, especially when you have brothers and sisters who are telling you, I don't know if my family members are alive. Where is the wisdom? Where is the humanity? How can we not see this? Now, I get it. People are going to say, I don't know what I'm talking about. I've changed the Bible. I don't know how to read the Bible. I haven't even read the whole verse, because in 2 Samuel chapter 1, verse 14, it says, this is the response of David. Why were you not afraid to kill the Lord's anointed one? You see? So the comment is, well, Saul, the reason why he cried is because Saul was anointed. TPLF, they're not anointed. They're not good people. To justify the celebration. Okay. Let's go into the book of Numbers, chapter 31, verse 19. And here, we find a statement of any soldier who's killed anyone and what he ought to do. It says, Numbers chapter 31, verse 19. Any of you who's killed anyone or touched any of the dead, remain outside the camp for 7 days. Purify yourselves and your captives on the 3rd day. Why are they purifying themselves? Because the act of killing is something that is not good. The act of killing is not something we should celebrate, especially in the face of someone who's mourning. People are mourning at this time. These same words are found in the 2nd section of Ethanagist, in chapter 44, section 5. To purify yourself, following these commandments. Our kings, like John Wayne, would stand outside of the church. They wouldn't enter into the sanctuary. They would stand outside of the church when there was like local conflicts and they had to go to battle, because they didn't see themselves as being worthy or pure enough to enter into the sanctuary. They didn't rejoice and celebrate and do eskasta. Guys, where's humanity? What are we doing? What are we doing? It seems like we have stopped looking at each other as human beings. And we're just so focused on what we're saying. We're just so busy about like, I'm going to be right and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, that we've forgotten there's consequences to our words. We have to be responsible. We can't just say whatever comes. We have to be responsible. Our actions has to be responsible. I get it. This is an emotional thing. But we've got to take the time to listen to each other. What's happening right now is, instead of listening to each other, people are basicallying each other. Basicallying. You know what basicallying is? It's when you talk to each other and people say, basically you're saying this. Like, if you say war should stop, innocent people shouldn't die, basically you're saying corruption should keep going. Basically. Who said that? Who's saying corruption? Innocent people shouldn't die doesn't mean corruption should still keep going. I'm saying innocent people shouldn't die. We should agree on this point. If you say corruption shouldn't happen and we should hold people responsible for what's happening, basically you're saying you want war to keep going. Basically you want innocent people to die. That's basically what you're basically. Who said that? Who's saying this? Who's saying this? It's this basic word. We became basic in the way that we think. You see, we're not taking the time to listen to each other. And we started fighting with one another. What a shame. What a shame. I get it. We're being emotional. But we need to be spiritual. It's not just about acting when you see something. It's about taking the time to think about your consequences. Using wisdom. And yes, I'm also emotional. Because I have seen what we can be. When I was in the monastery, there were Oromo students next to me. There were Tigrayan students next to me. There were Amara students next to me. We slept on the same bed. I have seen what we can be at our very best. And now I'm witnessing what we can be at our very worst. When I was in the monastery, one time, I heard a huge bell being rung. Something like I've never heard before. And we didn't know what happened. And we looked outside and people are running back and forth. We were confused. We were trying to figure out what happened. What ended up happening is so the monastery is big. If you guys ever been, it's huge. So think about blocks. They're like different blocks that a community of people live in. Like the people of Zema Temertuit live together, and the people of Kene Temertuit live together. So it happened to be the houses of where the Zema students were. Their houses had gone on fire. It was on fire. So that bell was to signal to the people, look, houses are on fire. And if you guys ever seen like gojo bits, they're made out of like tree and wood. So they catch on fire real fast. If you don't contain them, they keep spreading and they can put the entire block down, if not the entire monastery down. People knew this. So when they heard the Doan and they knew it was a fire, you know what they did not do? They didn't ask whose house is that. Is it a person of Tigray or Amara region? Is it from Oromo or is he from Walaita? They didn't do that because they understood we might be racist. Fire is not. Fire will come down and keep spreading regardless of your ethnic background. People understood this. So regardless of where they were, they went towards the water to help take out and contain the fire. There's no 911 back then. There's nothing that you can do in the monastery. You have each other. It seems that we can't understand this. It seems like our community cannot understand this. Look, I get it. There's an emotional time right now. People are talking about seceding. People are saying, look, I'm not an Ethiopian. I get it. I get the pain. Trust me, I do. I understand. Those are discussions we can have. But even after secession and even after dividing and being in your own country, we still have to learn how to work together. We still have to learn how to communicate. Closing off your door and just being on your own is not going to solve anything. Because what are you going to do when the fire comes? And I'm here to tell you, there is fire. Fire is hunger. Fire is lack of education. Fire is disease. The real enemy of mankind. These are the things that we must come together to fight against. And we're spending our energy on each other like we're the problem. Let's take time to talk to each other. Let's take time to listen. Let's think about our actions.